Hello, Basketball Brett here. So, most people agree that Michael Jordan is the best player of all time, and I am one of those people who agree that that is currently the case. But in this video, we're going to be discussing whether or not I think it's possible for LeBron to reach that number one spot. And so I'll give it away now. I believe the answer is no, which is actually why I'm wearing this merchandise of the Miami Heat team he used to play for. I was a fan of that team. I'm not a fanboy. I wasn't like a bandwagon person who just hopped on when they got good. I have family in Miami that are basketball fans, so I had an excuse to root for that team. And this was merch I got in that era. I know the Miami Heat pretty much suck now, but LeBron made them a pretty great team. Won 2 championships with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and Ray Allen. I'm getting off track already, but I wanted to wear this merch to show I'm not a hater, as much as I am arguing I don't think he can be the GOAT, which is an abbreviation for the greatest of all time. I'm going to tell you why I think this is the case. So for starters, whether it's fair or not, the number one barometer most people use for a player's greatness is how many championships he has. And Michael Jordan ended his career with 6, and LeBron currently has 3 and is 32 years old. Now, some say that LeBron is at the same spot in his career now as Jordan was at the same age, although I believe that you could look at this as misleading in a way because LeBron's in his 14th season, while Jordan at the same age was in, I think, his 11th, maybe 12th. So LeBron's played more seasons still, so he has an advantage. He has 3 rings in 14 seasons, while Jordan had 6 rings in 11 seasons. Yeah, I think that's right. This sounds kind of off for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why that sounds wrong, but I feel like I'm getting something off. But 13 seasons maybe he had 6 rings. Yeah, that's it. It was his 13th season. He won a 6th ring. So in one less season, he had 3 more rings than LeBron has right now. So if you look at it that way, Jordan was a much more capable player of winning championships. And I feel like they both had teams that were very strong during the time period that they won their rings. And they both had to go through a growing process where they couldn't win championships yet. They hadn't figured out how to win, I guess. For Jordan, that was the 80s with the Bulls when his team wasn't good yet. He got swept by the Celtics and was losing to the bad boy Pistons. And for LeBron, that was when he was on the Cavaliers originally, before he went to the Heat, where he won those 2 rings. He didn't really have anyone around him. He had a really shit team, so he wasn't able to really get any championships at that point, because he would have had to pretty much do it himself, as Jordan would have in the 80s. But by the time they were both winning championships, they both had, I'd say, pretty equally good teams around them, and Jordan was able to win more championships up to this point. LeBron might win 1 or 2 more, but there's still, I mean, there's always Golden State, obviously. There's the Spurs, who are always good. I feel like the Spurs are always kind of underestimated. Every year they won the championship. They weren't really the favorite to do so, but they ended up doing it anyway. That's why I'm saying, actually, you shouldn't count the Spurs out for this year even. They have Kawhi Leonard and Pau Gasol and all them. But yeah, I tend to get off track, and this is my first official video on this channel. I only did an introduction before this. And another area I want to look at as to why I don't think LeBron can surpass Jordan is the fact that I'd say Jordan was a pretty significantly better scorer than LeBron is. Jordan won 10 scoring titles. He did some of those at like 37, 35 points a game in the 80s when he just was really focused on scoring, hadn't developed his overall game as much at that point. And LeBron is a great all-around player, possibly the greatest all-around player ever, actually. But I don't think that that is equivalent, because Jordan, I'd say, was a better scorer as well as a better defender for most of his career. Jordan won Defensive Player of the Year. LeBron never did, although I think LeBron did come close to winning one. So as far as scoring and defense both go, I'd give Jordan the edge, and Jordan has more championships, so that's a big edge also. If you look at MVPs, Jordan had 5, although he probably should have had like 6 or 7 at least. He was snubbed a couple of times by Charles Barkley and Karl Malone, guys who really shouldn't have taken the MVP over him. I guess you could say the same thing about LeBron for 2011. Derrick Rose probably shouldn't have won it that year. But also, I look at LeBron's first MVP. I say D Wade actually should have won that year. If you look at the stats, I think D Wade had like 30 points, 7 assists that year. So I think LeBron just he led his Cavaliers team to a better record, which is the reason he got it that year. But I'd say LeBron's 4 MVPs is fair. Really, Jordan should have had 6 or 7, so he's ahead in that category also. And yeah, LeBron's starting to get up there in age. I'd say he's still the best player in the world, and he's maybe slightly past his prime, I'd say, but he's still at the top of the top level. So he has a couple more years, I'd say, performing at that apex, but it's unlikely that he can do anything in those couple of years to surpass Jordan. Like, I'd almost say he needs 7 rings, which is almost impossible for him at this point, I would think. He'd need at least 6 to be considered better, I would think. So like I said, championships is kind of the top thing people look at in a player's legacy. How many, if they're the top player on their team, obviously, when you're talking about the all-time greats, how many championships they were able to lead their team to. And it's more for Jordan, of course. So that's just my 2 cents on that argument. I know some people now say LeBron has a chance to be the best ever, or some say he already is now, which I think is a little ridiculous. As much as I'm a fan of him, like I said, I have all the merch here, the Miami stuff. I also have a Cleveland championship t-shirt, actually, I got this year. But I hold the belief that Jordan will always pretty much be the best ever. So that's it for this video. The next video I plan to make is discussing whether or not I think Steph Curry is a player that comes through in the clutch. Actually, there's the Golden State Cavaliers game on Monday, rematch of the finals, and they've also had that rematch on Christmas Day. So I'll probably recap that game after it happens. I wanted to make this video earlier than I did. Ended up taking way longer than I wanted. I said like last weekend I was going to make this video. Now it's this Saturday, so it took way too long for me. But I'm going to try to get on it and make more of these basketball videos. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.